Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It's FPC Radio Live. It's Friday, October the 6th, and we are wrapping up the week here. And John, congratulations to the Chicago Bears. They finally won a game after 14 straight. Their last win sadly came against the Patriots. It was kind of a harsh reminder of where the Patriots are currently when they kept bringing that up. But big time win for the Bears last night after I fully expected them to blow that lead, especially the way the second half started. But before we get to that, though, John, I don't want to get too off track here, because I did want to bring one other thing up that kind of popped up yesterday. And no, that's not the dud of a wild card round in Major League Baseball, but it's the continued rumblings and at least talk that the Red Sox actually might be a serious contender for Shohei Ohtani. And, that's something we kind of, threw out there, at the offseason. Would he be interested coming East Coast? Would he come to the Red Sox as a team, like the Red Sox, willing to shell out the cash to get him? It's going to be curious to see how it all plays out because, well, his trajectory has obviously been altered a bit because he's not going to pitch all of next season. If I read it correctly, is that correct, or at least
right? He's just going to DH next year, and then in 2025 he'll DH and pitch, and then we can have the circus of him being the greatest player ever, which is such a fallacy that some old guy here in Massachusetts has to push back against that. But as far as the Red Sox being in on Shohei Ohtani, I think he's doing it for two reasons in terms of putting this out there through John Heyman or any other reporters that are connected to the Red Sox. First of all, they just raised ticket prices, which seems unconscionable for a team that's 78 and 84 for the second consecutive year.
John, it's John prices. Henry. It's not unconscionable.
Henry, yeah. That's true, too. That's true, because he's got a lot of other teams he needs to support, right?
He's got to pay for his yacht.
Liverpool, yeah, exactly. Keep the Globe running. And thank God he actually bought the Globe. It's much better than the people who bought the Herald, and I can attest to that because I work for those people.
That's true, but he still employs Ben Volin, so.
That's true, too. You can't be right all the time. But I think they're doing this as a diversion. Oh, wow, they may use that money to go after Shohei Ohtani. They also may use this to try to attract an executive. They need a new president of baseball operations, which, to be honest with you, they're not going to get a really top-notch executive for a couple of reasons. First of all, they already have their manager, Alex Cora. They have a second in command in Brian O'Halloran. So if someone comes here as the president of baseball operations, they've already picked his right-hand man and his manager. Who wants to come into that? Plus, they get rid of executives every 4 years. I mean, they have all the stability of the Italian government. So, this is not an appealing place. But if you put out that you're in for Shohei Ohtani now, maybe it is. I mean, one of the reasons that he would be interested in coming here is because of his connection with New Balance, which is based in Massachusetts. They're going to be the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. If that were the case, the Portland Trailblazers would get every free agent because Nike is headquartered in Beaverton, Oregon. I can't even. I'm speechless, which doesn't happen very often. Like that. That's going to be the dumbest thing. I think he's going to go to the Dodgers, the Giants. Those to me are the two leading candidates. And I also don't understand why he has to be on the West Coast because of the proximity to Japan. I mean, how often does he go to Japan during the season? I mean, it's all of these things that come out just make my head explode, including that he's the greatest player ever. Yeah. I just think that's the biggest ridiculous statement people make. But I've said my piece.
No, and look, I do think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying, but I also think that it would be if done correctly. I mean, look, it's a smart move for the Red Sox if they want to get better. I mean, let's be honest. I mean,
really?
Sure.
Okay.
Well,
all right. So you added DH. They have no pitching. So they go 82 and 80 next year, and they sell out the park, and there's a lot of money.
Well,
to me, it's a business decision as much as a baseball.
Oh, sure. But
that's hand in hand. I get it.
No, and that's kind of the point though too, because business, because of the infrastructure and the economy of baseball, that does make a big difference because there is no salary cap. There is no, you can't spend beyond this. You're spending the same amount as the Rays. No, if you want to go crazy and spend as much money as humanly possible, well, you can. And I think, look, if they're going to go out and shell out money for Shohei Ohtani, it's going to be a lot. It's probably going to be, met with mixed reactions. You know, the people against it will probably be like, well, you overpaid. And probably that's what you're going to have to do. But like I said, quite frankly, when it comes to the Red Sox, I couldn't care less about
Mhm.
what money they spend. You know, that it's not like football where yes, it can have some long-term ramifications because of the capital of the actual owner, but it doesn't have ramifications like you would in football with cap, you know, situations that you can't get out of by just paying more money. You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
so for the Red Sox, who have really, I mean, I hate to admit it, but I could probably count on one hand how many minutes of Red Sox baseball I attentively watched this year. Um, and I think that might not be I might not be the only one. So you got to look at it as well. How do you infuse this team who's been kind of a bottom dweller for a couple years, and every so often they win the World Series. I mean, if they, you know, that's the crazy thing about the Red Sox is like, you know, they spent so much time kind of just being a middling baseball team, and then all of a sudden they have like the best season in their franchise history, and it kind of, you know, gives fans a okay, all right, we can live with kind of this middling product that we've seen for a handful of years. Um,
They're
but
kind of like the New York Giants, right? Like the New
yeah,
York
oh
Giants went
sure,
a 12-year stretch where they won 2 Super Bowls and then did nothing else. Like that's what the Red Sox have done. 13 and 18, you win the World Series. Since 2012, the last 12 seasons, they finished last 6 times
yeah. Well,
in the
and that's
American League East. That shouldn't happen.
and that's more more the reason to go out and try to bring in a guy like Shohei Otani. Again, he's not going to change. You know, this is like I agree with you. You know, the greatest player in baseball history. That's a little over the top. Again, I don't know what people are drinking out in LA because you know we talk about that with Mike Trout too. Like, come on, guys, like let's relax a little bit with this. But still a great player. And you add him, you know, obviously I don't I wouldn't imagine that would be it. You know, you have to do a lot to tweak this team, but you need a DH. You need eventually going to need more pitching. Um, yeah, I mean, look, it's not. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. I do think there's a lot of what you said going on here, where it's, oh, we're going for it, we're going for it. But you know, the reality of it is, every big team should be
Yeah.
pursuing it to some extent because, yeah, there's question marks and certainly more this offseason because of the injuries and everything like that. But at the end of the day, you're getting even if it is just a DH, you're getting a pretty darn good player and certainly a position of need for this Red Sox team. Who, quite frankly, I mean, there's a lot of positions of need, but that's certainly one of them. And yeah, look, I mean, there's a possibility, sure. I think we'll once we get a little bit more into the off season after the World Series and some of the stuff starts to heat up a little bit, maybe we'll see if it's more of a, you know, kind of a reality. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, the
well,
Red Sox are interested in Shohei Otani, and they're going to be all in. And I'm going to have lunch with Scarlett Johansson tomorrow afternoon.
hey, John, you never
I
know,
want to
man.
float that rumor out
You,
there.
you,
Hey,
you
you know
never
what?
know. Well, you
Yeah,
know, I don't
I'm
know
quite a
if,
catch.
yeah, we'll take to that hookup like the NFL took to Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift. So, um, yeah, I look. No, you know what's worse than people just like over the top hating on the Taylor Swift stuff? It's the people who hate on you for hating on the Taylor Swift stuff. Like, you know, I saw a segment on Good Morning Football talking about like you should, you know, blah blah blah. You should be appreciative. No, I don't care. Like, I'm sorry. Like when as Isaiah Pacheco has a nice run for a touchdown, I don't need the camera to immediately go to Taylor Swift. I don't care. Like, okay, I get it, NFL. You're trying to get her to do the halftime show. She's already turned you down, so you know you're banking on that. You're trying to get the Taylor Swift fans in the mix. Do you honestly think most of them are going to care once she's not involved? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
this isn't like they're going to get, you know, these Taylor Swift fans are going to come on, watch a game, and be like, oh my god, let's all of us be fans and you know give the same sort of energy. No, I just look, they're making money off of it. They're getting extra ad revenue and all that, and that's what it's all about. And I get it, but it is kind of the NFL came out and like defended themselves, and it's like, you know, just you're going a little bit over the top. And I'm pretty sure Travis Kelsey even said they're kind of going over the top with all this. So, um, Yeah, and Joel says that the Taylor Swift stuff is pretty similar to the Tim Tebow stuff, where it's just like just way over the top. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just so unnecessarily overcovered. It's like, all right, let's calm down, people.
The NFL wants to take everything away from the NBA, including celebrities being courtside, right?
Right,
But
right.
with that, that's authentic. Like the people that sit courtside, the stars, whether it be at Staples Center or whatever the hell that thing is called now in LA. You know, Jack Nicholson has been a real basketball fan for like 50 years or
Yeah.
longer since he's been in LA. You know, we see Jay-Z courtside. I think he owned part of the Brooklyn Nets at one point, maybe sold it back. But the people that sit courtside at NBA games are really fans. I mean, Spike Lee, whether you like him or not, I think he's a brilliant film director, is a real Knicks fan. I mean, he lives and dies with the Knicks, so that stuff's all
yeah,
authentic.
no one just pretends to be a Knicks fan. Okay, let's be honest here.
You have to be. That's right. Yeah, I mean, Stephen A. Smith is the other Knicks fan that is very, very famous. But yeah, no, I think it's look, the NFL is very good at branding and getting people to talk about it. And she's got a movie coming out next week.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to need a lot of pub to get people to go to theaters because everyone that went to the concerts is going to go to the movies. People who couldn't afford to go to the concerts will go see the movie. So, you know, I'm sure it's going to be the number one movie next weekend. A concert film will be the number one movie next weekend. She has an incredible brand, but, you know, I don't want to hear that she's influenced music the way Michael Jackson or the Beatles influenced music because that's ridiculous. She's fantastic at what she does, but just leave that at that.
Well, and again, I mean, I guess it just kind of goes to show that the over the top, in the moment, prisoner of the moment stuff that we deal with in sports kind of isn't necessarily limited to just sports. So, anyways,
I sound like a cranky old guy this morning, don't I?
Yeah, no, I don't want Shohei Ohtani.
I wish to get out of hell with him.
Bah, humbug. But that's what we need, though, John. We need the cranky old guy on the show, and sometimes it's you, and sometimes it's me. We kind of trade off every so often. So, anyways, so like I said last night, the Bears obviously snapped that losing streak. 14 games. You know, that's the crazy thing. How do you lose 14 games in a row? I just don't get it. I mean, I should keep my mouth shut because who knows? Maybe the Patriots will do that at one point. The first time in my life since very, very early on in my life. Let's put it that way. I was barely walking the last time they lost. Well, 15 games. That was a long time ago, John. Those early 90s were not.
89 to 92. I believe they won. We can do the math. 6, 8, 13 games in a 4-year period.
That's rough.
Yeah. Brady averaged 13 wins a year.
Yeah, I was going to say, and a majority of those came in 2 seasons, with one being a one-win season. So, but anyways, nonetheless, the Bears won last night. They looked good, at least in the first half. But I'm telling you, man, after last week, I was watching that second half, and I'm like, man, they're going to blow another lead. I can't believe this. I mean, you were thinking that too, right? I couldn't have been the only one.
No, they got within 10 points at one point. I'm like, okay, if they turn it over, you know, you could have a quick score by the Commanders, and the Commanders could put some points on the board. I mean, like we talked about Sam Howell yesterday, you know, high floor, or rather high ceiling, very low floor. I mean, he's a disaster off the nights, but there's games that he looks really good. He kind of reminds me of Ryan Fitzpatrick, trick or treat.
Yeah, oh sure.
But, give the Bears credit. And look, Justin Fields, the last 2 weeks, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception, and over 700 yards passing. He's you know, maybe he's finally putting it all together. You know, because I think he's an interesting candidate because I think he's a fun quarterback to watch, and he does seem like a really good kid who's all in. He said some things a couple of weeks ago, but you know, I mean, he's 23, 24 years old. They're going to say crazy things. Yeah. Again, I sound like the cranky old guy. Those kids.
Yeah, well, I mean, hell, Aaron Rodgers says some crazy things, and he's the old guy. So yeah, it's not limited to just the young guys. No, and look, I mean, he's completing a high percentage of his passes. I mean, what did he start last week? 16 of 16. First incompletion was like a Hail Mary attempt. And then last night it was 13 of 20 or 19. So again, accurate, smart decisions, not turning the ball over, and, you know, using what he has, his legs and a pretty good arm. So I mean, good for Justin Fields. And I know Bears fans are breathing a sigh of relief that at least for 9 days or so, they can bask in the glory of having won a game. And who knows, that feeling might not come back for another whole year. So enjoy it while it lasts. No, I think they'll, I think they might win a few more games this year. I mean, look, I picked them to do a lot better, but clearly, if you look at my record this season for picking things, it's abysmal, John. Actually, I am pretty sure I've become the George Costanza of picking things, because every instinct I have is wrong. So, anyways, it's that's neat. Well, I was going to say it's neither here nor there, but it is actually here, because we're going to give our picks here in a minute. So, I guess if you're going to go to the casino and lay down some bets, just do the opposite of whatever I said, because didn't we both pick the Commanders yesterday?
No, I picked the Bears. I picked the Bears to win outright.
Oh yeah,
I did. Yeah,
right.
well, I on Twitter I give out my picks, which are against the spread 25-17 this year. That's pretty good. That's
it's not bad.
50%.
Not bad.
Yeah, I had 1 unit to win 2 units on the Bears outright and with the money line, and also +6. They have to win a game at some point. The Commanders are one of those teams that will play the Eagles really tough and then get blown out by the Bills. They're really, I mean, half the league is like that, right, Ian? Like, you don't know what you're going to get from week to week. They certainly epitomize that.
Well, again, we've been kind of been the theme of the first couple of weeks of the season. I mean, I think it's just the quarterback play across the league. Yeah, they're very up and down, and I think that reflects in how a lot of these teams play. So yeah. Anyways, let's see. My watch is dead, so I don't know why I'm looking at it, looking to find the time. We have about 10 minutes left, so let's jump into these picks, because there's some really interesting games. Obviously, the marquee matchup, Sunday Night Football, San Francisco at Dallas. That's going to be fun. But we're going to start where I look. I love the London games and Germany games and all that stuff, because I love waking up and watching football at 9:30 in the morning. I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's to me, it's nice. I like it. It's one game. It's not like it's a whole lock of games, whatever. But we're going to do it again this week on Sunday. And this time, though, we have Buffalo taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, the Jags have been very disappointing for the most part this season, and Buffalo looks to be getting right into their groove. So I think this was a pretty easy choice. I like Buffalo in this one.
I like Jacksonville. I know Buffalo's had 3 straight real impressive performances. Huge win over divisional rival Miami last week. Now they're traveling to England, and Jacksonville's been there already. Jacksonville played there a week ago, so I think that might give them some sort of advantage. So I'm going to pick Jacksonville in an upset.
Colts hosting Tennessee. Tennessee, another Jekyll and Hyde team. One week they look abysmal. The next they're winning pretty big. I like Indianapolis at home because, again, I think this is a toss-up. I don't know what Titans team's going to show up, but I'll give Indy the edge at home.
Yeah, I'll give Indy the edge at home. They've been a real surprise, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
They almost beat the Rams last week, lost in overtime. They've been competitive in every game. They won 2. And that division, the AFC South, you might see a 4-way tie by the time the season ends with 4 teams at 8 and 9 and someone wins in a tiebreaker. But I'll take the Colts this week.
Speaking of surprises, the Texans heading to Atlanta. Atlanta, Desmond Ritter's been pretty not too good the last couple weeks.
No.
CJ Stroud, the exact opposite. So I like Houston in this one. Houston's a pretty good team, and they're getting coached well and getting really good quarterback play. So give me Houston.
I'll take Atlanta at home. They can still run the football. The defense is okay. And again, rookie quarterbacks put together a couple of really good games like CJ Stroud has, and then they'll have a little bit of a dip, and then they'll bounce back. And by the way, Justin Fields will be the Atlanta Falcons quarterback next year because Chicago owns Carolina's first-round pick, which right now would be the first overall pick, which would give them Caleb Williams, and they could trade Justin Fields to Atlanta's hometown. So think of that. That's an early prediction, but I like the Falcons on Sunday.
All right, next we have the Panthers hosting the Lions. Not much to add to this other than I think the Lions are going to win because they're a lot better. So, yeah. That's it. Lions, we agree on that one? All right.
Absolutely.
Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Again, appointment viewing at one point over the last 20 years for a very long stretch of time. Steelers are clearly not at the elite level, even though, early on we thought, oh, maybe this team would be. Their defense is disappointed. Their offense is disappointed. And I think they're going to disappoint at home against Baltimore. So give me the Ravens.
I can't get out of this, you know, quagmire I'm in with Pittsburgh. I keep picking them every week, and they're 2-2 somehow. I mean, the defense carried them in a win over Cleveland a couple of weeks ago. I think they'll pull up. They'll pull the upset off against Baltimore again. Like you said, it seems like every time these teams meet, it's a 3-point game, right? You know, and I'll just take Pittsburgh. The defense is still pretty good. Their offense is a mess right now. I mean, talk about the Patriots offense. Well, the Patriots play Pittsburgh later in the season. That might be a 9-6 games the way these offenses are. But I'll pick Pittsburgh at an upset. Just got a feeling.
Yeah, it's funny. If you go back 15 years, early 2000s, if you had a 9-6 game between the Patriots and Steelers, you're probably thinking it was one hell of a game. Because,
Right.
I mean, two really good defenses. Obviously, the Patriots had a I say a really good offense. The Steelers did it as well. I mean, let's not pretend like both of those teams were some bottom feeders.
Mhm.
If not, actually, it's the exact opposite. They were one of the, but obviously, defensive battle. And those were a little bit more common, obviously, back then, given how the game
Mhm.
was officiated and some of the rules and whatnot. But yeah, I agree. It could be a 9-6 matchup for many other reasons other than good football. So, speaking of the Patriots, they are back at home against the Saints, and I I can't imagine the Patriots and in particular Mac Jones is going to have as bad of a performance as they did this past week. Um, so once again, close game, flip a coin. I'll take the Patriots at home.
Yeah, I'll go with the Patriots as well. I mean, these teams are pretty similar, right? Like challenged offensively, good defenses. Alvin Kamara came back last week. He had 13 receptions for 33 yards. Like that doesn't even seem possible, right? 13 receptions for 33 yards. Were they playing in the front yard of a
Right.
condo unit or something? I mean, that's incredible. But I think the Patriots normally after a blowout loss like they faced last week, the team is more focused. Now they don't have their two best defensive players, but I don't know if the Saints are going to be able to take advantage of that. So I think the Patriots at home squeak out a 13-10 type game, similar to the way they beat the Jets a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, someone on Twitter brought up um, you just funny stat lines and unique things like that, and ones that just don't necessarily make sense, and that always makes me think of the Leonard Fournette, 13 carries, 65 yards, a long of 66. Like that is one hell of a stat line. Let me put it that way. So, excuse me. Miami hosting the Giants. Look, the Giants might be able to put up some points against the Dolphins, but Dolphins are going to put up a lot more points against the Giants. I don't think this is like a rebound for the Dolphins because, well, they kind of got their butts handed to them by the Bills last week. But this should be a fairly simple, easy win. A really good offense versus a bad team. So give me the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Dolphins. I mean, who gave the Giants this early season schedule? Dallas, San Francisco, Miami. Like they have no chance in those games, right? Those teams are just better. I think Miami will take care of business on Sunday.
Philadelphia at Los Angeles. I think this is going to be a pretty close game. I do like Philadelphia in this one to kind of squeak by. I think they're, kind of the tortoise in this season. Kind of slow and
Mm-hmm.
steady, just kind of getting through, working through what they're doing. Jalen Hurts looked really good last week in a win, and it's not always perfect, but they always seem to come out in front at the end of the day, and I like them to do that again this week against LA.
I'll call for the upset. The Rams have been pretty good this year, right? They're 2-2. They battled San Francisco, lost by 7. They've been in all their games. I think they pull the upset on Sunday.
Next, we have Cincinnati going to Arizona, and I mean the Bengals just they have to win this game. You cannot lose this game and expect to be in contention moving forward. So I think desperation will play a factor here, and I think the Bengals win on the road.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It'll be hot and dry. I know it's a indoor stadium, but maybe that'll keep Joe Burrow's calf a little bit loose, and he'll be able to be closer to himself. Bengals need this because you're not coming back from 1-4 in that tough division.
Next, we have the Jets at Broncos, the Nathaniel Hackett Bowl, if you will. I like the Jets in this one just because I just don't think Denver's a really good team. And it's not that I'm rooting for the Jets, more so that I might be rooting against Sean Payton. And it would be kind of nice or kind of a pleasurable to watch that Jets offense somehow put up a bunch of points against Denver. I feel conflicted, obviously, as a Patriots fan, but as someone who wouldn't mind seeing Sean Payton served up some humble pie, well, that could happen. So I'll take the Jets in this one. Could be a good game. It could be a bad one. We'll see.
I like the Jets. Yeah, revenge game. I think sometimes when you see two teams that you can't quite grasp, just pick the team with the best unit. And I think the Jets defense will be the best unit on the field on Sunday. Thus, the Jets will win.
Kansas City at Minnesota. I think it should be a pretty good game. Naturally, the Vikings will lose by one score. So give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? 11-1 in one-score games last year, including the playoff loss to the Giants. And this year, they're losing all the one-score games. That's just the way it works in football. But yeah, I expect kind of a close game, a field goal game, but Kansas City always finds ways to win those games.
Next, like I said, game of the week. Certainly Dallas hosting San Francisco. Or, I'm sorry, San Francisco hosting Dallas. I like the 49ers. I have no reason not to pick them. I think I think there is although these might be the two best teams, including Philadelphia, if you want to go the three best teams in the NFC in the mix. But I think there's a gap between San Francisco and Dallas. Dallas is, for the most part, pretty good defensively. Last week, obviously, they were firing on all cylinders in all phases of the game, but that might have been more of a product of facing the Patriots than some sort of, oh my God, they're a complete team. No, I think they still are. I don't want to say limited offensively, but they're not an explosive unit necessarily. And I think San Francisco certainly is. I like their offense better, and I like their defense better. So, like you said last time, if you're stuck and you want to pick the better unit, well, San Francisco has the two better units, and they may have three if you count the special teams.
Yeah, San Francisco's loaded right now. I do think that Dallas's pass rush might speed Brock Purdy up a bit to force some turnovers. This is a game where Dallas is going to miss Trayvon Diggs, but I think Dallas is going to eke this one out, although I'm sure San Francisco blows them out. I can just see it right now. Mike McCarthy making coaching mistake early in that game, and the Cowboys, finding ways to lose. But I'll pick the team that I picked to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, how about them? I hope they lose. So anyways, that's going to do it for us here today. We will be back on Monday, of course. We'll talk Green Bay and Vegas because that is the Monday Night Football matchup. And, of course, we'll recap all the things that we got wrong on this show today. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll talk to you then.